The Duchess of Sussex has released photographs of the family. Of course, that's the Duke of Sussex, Prince Harry, Archie and Lily, with photographs that appear to show their UK return and images of the children at Althorp, which is, of course, the estate of the late Diana. Let's get reaction from Rupert Bell, Talk's royal correspondent. Hello, Rupert.
Good morning, Mark.
Rupert, what do you make of these latest images, courtesy of Meghan Markle, in regard to the Sussexes' UK return?
Well, once again, it's trying to, I think, take the shine away from the Waleses, who obviously George's birthday was recently, and all the pictures of him, and also proving that they are welcome back in the UK by showing that Charles Spencer, Harry's uncle, was happy to have them to stay. But where's the privacy? Because I thought they didn't want pictures of their children splashed all over social media, and they believe that, well, although that facts don't back up that, because they say people should be protected by social media. But once again, they're using their children to create this image of happy families. Now, it may have been a very happy trip, but why do we feel the need to endlessly see pictures? And obviously the element of going to see Diana's gravesite there and going to Althorp, it's also saying, look, we are welcome back in the UK. That's what it's out to try and prove from the Sussexes' perspective.
Well, I think that's a really correct overview, Rupert. We hear so much about the privacy of Archie and Lily, and we hear about concerns in regard to their security. Probably not the best idea to publish photographs of them and create interest in them.
Yeah, and they produce these photographs in which actually is like a freaky way. Well, all we get is back views. Whereas at least when the Waleses, that they're controlled, you know, we saw official photographs of George when he turned 13. Absolutely right. It's done as a sort of, in a way, part official, because
Correct.
Obviously George is the future king, so it is sort of timeline of his progression into adulthood, and then ultimately he will succeed to the throne. So that's all part of a sort of historical narrative. But for the Sussexes, it's a different narrative. It's trying to prove, look, we are still relevant over here. And yet again, I just find the images just a little bit freaky in a way. They don't seem natural. Everything photographed from behind and everything, yet we've got to see it like that. And okay, they may have been going to the memorial, but what's the big plan, you know, for them? Is there going to be some documentary about Diana, and this will be all part of that, showing them having that intimate moment? The visit was a private one, yet the Sussexes are still doing their best to show, look, you may not have seen me, but I was here. And look, I am welcome with elements of the royal family. Now, what the rest of the royal family think of him, the Sussexes going to Charles Spencer's house, I don't know. But here he's the uncle. He obviously gave that famous speech at Diana's funeral. But it's not as if his private life has been completely straightforward through over the years. I mean, I think he's on his fourth wife. So he's not a straightforward character, but at least it is something that can be, you know, seen from the Sussexes' point of view. Look, we're welcome back in UK by some people.
Now, as you've reported to us previously, Rupert, the Sussexes were under strict orders on the part of the King not to publish any photographs of the Highgrove House afternoon tea. No interviews, no details, no photos. And therefore, this little cache of images is significant, isn't it? It demonstrates, I would suggest, Rupert, that Meghan Markle couldn't resist publishing evidence of their UK return. She needed to get photographs out there of the Sussexes on British soil.
Yeah, because their brand is a busted flush at the moment. So their brand depends on their connection with the royal family. Well, Harry did his work when he came over here at the beginning of the month. OK, the court case, I think, probably scuppered Meghan's plans, because suddenly, you know, it was a bad week from a news perspective for Harry. Yes, it went well for him Invictus Games. He looked relaxed, and hopefully it has helped to create interest in next year's Invictus Games, which I certainly applaud But actually, from a Meghan perspective, it wasn't the week she wanted. There she is under the cover of darkness, having to go to Highgrove for an hour, scootling back to Althorp, where presumably that's where they stayed. It's not a surprise they stayed there. You know, it seems a perfectly normal place for them to go. But now they're sort of trying to monetize it. Look at playing this happy family environment, that sort of cheesy photograph of them in a restaurant and pictures from Portugal. It all just seems a little contrived and unnecessary. Why do they feel the need? Presumably, yes, there will be lots of people looking at it, but it's all very needy, is my assessment of what she is doing.
Meghan Markle has spent years telling the world that privacy is one of her family's highest priorities. From speaking out about intrusive media coverage to criticising the way the press treats her children, protecting Archie and Lilibet has consistently been presented as one of the Sussexes' biggest concerns. But that's exactly why her latest social media post has left so many royal watchers scratching their heads. If privacy is truly the priority, then why is Meghan once again choosing to share carefully curated glimpses of one of the family's most private holidays? And perhaps an even bigger question is this: was the timing of these photos simply coincidental, or was there a bigger strategy behind them? Because the images appeared just as Prince George's birthday celebrations were dominating royal headlines, leading some commentators to wonder whether Meghan was once again trying to redirect attention back toward the Sussexes. The discussion exploded during the Mark Dolan show, where royal correspondent Robert Bell argued that the photographs appeared to serve several purposes at once. First, he suggested they were designed to demonstrate that Harry and Meghan remain welcome in Britain,
whom she described as media savvy
with
and
Harry's
image conscious,
uncle,
would
Charles
not discourage
Spencer,
appearances
at
that,
Althorp,
in her opinion,
the childhood
do little
home
to
and
strengthen
final
the
resting
Sussex
place
brand.
of Princess
That,
Diana.
however,
was presented
according
as
to
Jubilee's
Bell,
personal
the images
interpretation,
weren't simply
rather
family
than
holiday
any confirmed
snaps.
insight.
Instead,
into the
he
couple's
believes they
private
subtly sent the
discussions.
message
That although
the
relations
conversation
with the
then
royal
shifted
family
toward Harry's
remain
commercial
strained,
future,
Harry
Jubilee
still has
argued
important
that leaving
family
royal
ties
life
in the
undoubtedly
UK.
opened extraordinary
But Bell
opportunities.
also questioned
but sustaining
why
those
such deeply
opportunities
personal
requires
moments
more
needed
than
to be
global
shared publicly
recognition.
at all.
Building
If
a
the
successful
visit to
business,
Diana's
she said,
grave
demands
was meant
planning,
to be private,
consistent
and meaningful,
execution,
why
and the
release
ability to produce
photographs
projects
afterwards?
that audiences
Was the goal
genuinely
simply to
want
preserve
watch.
family memories? Or
Mark
was
Dolan
it another
added that
carefully
reports
managed
have
piece
suggested
of public
Harry's
storytelling?
speaking engagements
One
have
of the
become
biggest
less frequent
criticisms
than they were
raised during
immediately
the
after
interview
stepping down
centred
from royal
on what
duties,
many see as a
while also
contradiction
discussing
in the
public
Sussexes'
reporting's messaging.
surrounding Centreball.
For years,
Invictus,
Harry
and
and
other
Meghan
ventures
have argued that their children
Those
deserve
discussions
privacy and
reflected
protection
commentary
from
on
intense
media
public
reports
attention.
rather than independently
Yet,
verified
according to
conclusions.
Bell,
They
but they
continue
raise
to
a broader
release
question
selected
about
images
whether
of
Harry's
Archie and
commercial
Lilibet
momentum
whenever
has
it suits
slowed.
their public narrative.
Jubilee emphasised
While
that
the
if
children's
organisations
faces are
like
rarely shown
Invictus
directly,
were ever to
Bell
face
argued
significant
that the back of
challenges,
the head
it would be
photographs,
especially
family
unfortunate
walks,
given the
and
positive
carefully
impact
staged
the games
vacation
have had
moments
on wounded
still
veterans,
generate
and
enormous
the
media
admiration
attention.
Harry once earned for creating
His
them.
question was straightforward.
In fact, she reminded
If the
viewers
objective
that
is to
Harry
keep the
was
children
once
out
among
of
the
the
most
spotlight,
popular members of the
why
royal family,
continue using
precisely
images
because
of
of
them
projects like
to support
Invictus,
the family's public
where
brand?
public attention focused on
He
service
even suggested
rather than
Harry
controversy.
should understand these
The
concerns
discussion also
better than
explored
anyone,
Harry's
given how
emotional
often
decision-making.
he has spoken about growing up in
Dolan
the public
suggested
eye
Harry often
and the
reacts
emotional
publicly
impact
to
it
criticism
had on
and
him.
legal setbacks in
Bell
ways that
also
appear
drew
impulsive,
comparisons
while
with the
Jubilee
Prince and
expressed
Princess of
sympathy
Wales.
for the emotional scars
When Prince
left
George
by Princess
celebrated
Diana's
his
death.
birthday, Kensington
She suggested
Palace
Harry's
released
long-running
the
conflict with
official
sections of
portrait,
the media may be
something Bell
rooted in that
described as
childhood
part of the
trauma,
historical
and wondered
role
whether
of a
additional
future
professional
king.
support earlier
In
in
contrast,
life
he
might have
argued
helped him
that
process
the
those
Sussex
experiences
photographs
differently.
tell a very different story.
At the same time, she
Rather
acknowledged
than
that
documenting
comparisons with Prince
constitutional
William
milestones,
are inevitable.
he believes
although
they are
she argued
intended
that
to remind
differences in
audiences
age,
that
personality,
Harry
and
and Meghan
circumstances
remain
mean
relevant,
the brothers'
connected
lives
to Britain,
have unfolded
and
very
still
differently.
part of the royal conversation.
Another
despite
interesting
stepping
topic
away
involved
from
Meghan's
official
role
duties.
within the royal family.
Whether Jubilee offered her personal theory that Meghan may initially have underestimated how strongly the monarchy
Another point that
revolves
sparked
around
debate
the direct
was the
line of
Sussexes'
succession
visit to Althorp.
Perhaps assuming
Bell
Harry and
acknowledged
William
that Charles
occupied
Spencer
similar
is Harry's
positions
uncle,
because
and
they were
naturally
both
has
Diana's
every right
sons.
to welcome his
According to
nephew and
Jubilee,
family.
the constitutional
However,
reality
he
is very
suggested
different,
that
and she
publicising the
suggested
visit
that adjusting to those
transformed what could have
expectations
remained
may
a
have been
private
more
family
difficult
moment
than either
into
Harry
something
or
much more
Meghan
symbolic.
anticipated. He questioned
Again,
whether
this was
the
presented
photographs
as
were
personal
intended
analysis
to reinforce
rather
Harry's
than
continued
established
connection
fact.
to Princess Diana's
Finally,
legacy,
the
or
discussion
even
turned
lay the
to
groundwork
finances,
for future
with both
projects centered
presenters
around
talking
Diana.
about.
While he stressed that this was speculation rather than confirmed fact, he argued that the release of the images made many people wonder whether the visit itself had become part of a broader public relations narrative. The conversation then shifted to Meghan's public image. Bell argued that the Sussex brand has struggled in recent months following difficult headlines surrounding Harry's legal battles and ongoing criticism in Britain. In his view, the latest family photographs were another attempt to project stability, happiness and success at a time when negative stories continue dominating coverage. He described the images, including family moments, restaurant photographs and scenes from Portugal, as highly curated and suggested
what
they
should we
felt
make of all
contrived rather than
Richard
spontaneous.
Eden
believes Harry's latest
His overall
podcast
conclusion
appearance
was
reflects
that
that
the
Meghan
continuing
appeared eager
decline
to remind
in the dignity
audiences
traditionally
that the
associated
Sussexes
with
remain a
royalty.
happy, united family.
Linda Jubilee
despite the believes
criticism
Harry's
surrounding
greatest
them.
problem is the absence
One of Bell's
of a clear
strongest
long-term
observations
strategy focused on Mark
consistency.
Dolan argues that Harry has repeatedly spoken about increasingly difficult for him to rebuild his reputation. Yet releasing Harry himself would likely say he is simply living life on his own terms and after stepping away from royal duties. Bell questioned
Somewhere
how the children
between those
themselves
competing
might
narratives
eventually feel
lies the
if
real
they grow
story.
up discovering that images
The bigger
from
question
their private
may not
childhood
be
holidays
whether one
became
podcast
part of
was
the
a
family's
mistake,
public branding
but whether
strategy.
Harry has found a sustainable
While no one can
identity
predict
outside
how
the
Archie and
institution
Lilibet
that
will
shaped
view
his
these
public
decisions
image
in the future,
for more than 3
he
decades.
suggested it is a conversation
Can he still
worth having
redefine
now.
himself in a way
Of course,
that resonates
it's important
with
to
audiences?
remember that these
Can
were
he repair
opinions expressed
fractured
by
family
Robert Bell
relationships
during
while
the Mark
remaining
Dolan
true
show,
to his own story?
not established facts.
Can he shift the
about
conversation
Meghan's
back
intentions.
towards service, philanthropy,
Meghan herself
and purpose,
has not said the
rather than
photographs were
controversy,
intended to
or has
overshadow
every
Prince
interview,
George's birthday,
memoir,
nor
legal
has she
battle,
explained
and now
why
every
she chose
podcast
to release
appearance
them when she
made
did.
that journey even
But
more
perception
difficult.
often matters just as
Whatever
much as
your view,
intention,
one
especially
thing is
in the
certain.
world of royal publicity.
Prince Harry
And
remains
that's
one
where
of
this
the
story
most
becomes
discussed public
fascinating.
figures in the world.
Every move
and the
Harry
next
and
chapter
Meghan
of
make
his story
is scrutinized
may ultimately
through the
determine
lens of branding, timing and public relations. Whether the timing was deliberate or purely coincidental, it has once again fueled debate about the Sussexes' approach to privacy. So, what do you think? If privacy is truly the goal, should private family holidays remain exactly that, private? Or is there nothing wrong with sharing carefully selected moments with supporters on social media? And perhaps the biggest question of all, was this simply an innocent family photo dump or another strategic move in the ongoing battle for the royal spotlight? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this analysis, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss the latest royal news and commentary.